source for news, sports, traffic, and weather. We are Wisconsin's radio station. News Radio 620, WTMJ, Milwaukee.
At 9 o'clock, it is 26 degrees. High today of 39. You'll notice some gusty winds early today, but plenty of sun also. Lows tonight down into the 20s. From the WTMJ Breaking News Center, I'm Adam Roberts. A pair of high-profile court appearances happening today. The push to stop the release of Slenderman stabbing defendant Morgan Geyser continuing in court as the State Department of Health Services petitions to stop that release. A judge ordering the same three medical experts who testified at Geyser's January hearing to conduct new psychological evaluations. Meanwhile, a plea hearing today for one of four men connected to the death of a man outside a downtown Milwaukee hotel last year. Brandon Turner was one of three suspects in the death of Devontae Mitchell to accept a plea deal earlier this year. He is back in court today. The other two, Herbert Williamson and Devin Johnson Carson, return to court later this month. The fourth suspect, Todd Erickson, is heading to trial later this summer. As several issues remain for Milwaukee Public Schools, we're learning more now about how much new MPS Superintendent Dr. Brenna Casalius will make per year plus benefits under a new contract approved by the Board of School Directors. Celia is slated to earn $320,000 a year in her position, plus a transitional salary of $80,000 for work performed from March 15th through June 30th. This is before her annual contract year officially begins on July 1st. We're also learning more about a celebration of life for Bob Uecker that will be held during the late summer this year at American Family Field. Speaking with Wisconsin's Morning News, Brewers President of Business Operations Rick Schlesinger says the event will include several high-profile figures connected to Mr. Baseball.
We would want to have speakers that can, talk about each segment of Bob's life. There certainly will be celebrities. We'll see what's available. The whole game will sort of be a homage, if you will, to Bob and his body of work.
Uecker died in January of cancer at 90 years old. Reuters reporting this morning the Trump administration is planning to revoke the legal status of 240,000 Ukrainians who fled to the U.S. since the Russian invasion of Ukraine 3 years ago. CBS's Imtiaz Taib reporting in Kyiv says Ukrainians say Russia is not indicating it wants peace, keeping up a relentless campaign of drone attacks.
Those attacks have only intensified. The eastern city of Kryvyi Rih, President Volodymyr Zelensky's hometown, was targeted by a Russian ballistic missile. In a post on social media, Zelensky said among the damaged buildings was a hotel full of aid workers, including some Americans. At least 30 people were injured in the attack and 4 killed.
Here at home, the Trump administration taking steps to increase pressure on the Ukrainian government to agree to a ceasefire deal with Russia, negotiated in large part by the U.S. and Russia. And at least 15 people injured in South Korea overnight, where jets accidentally dropped 8 bombs over a residential area. Officials there say it was part of a live fire training drill linked to annual joint military exercises with the U.S. due to start next week. ABC's Britt Clement.
The accident was due apparently to a pilot kind of entering an incorrect coordinate. That's according to a military official. The official said that the 2 jets then dropped 4 bombs each, with all of them detonating, but certainly serious questions over why real bombs were used. We heard from Pochen's city mayor. He said the unthinkable had happened, and he's urging the government and the military to come up with measures to prevent this from happening ever again.
No U.S. planes were involved, and officials say it will not affect the Freedom Shield drill due to begin on Monday. Time now for news about your money, the WTMJ Annex Wealth Management Market Update. Plenty of questions still on Wall Street this week, and the big three responding in kind. The Dow down 418 points this morning at 42,588. The NASDAQ off 1.3%, down 256 at 18,296, while the S&P 500 is down 68 points this morning at 5,775. Financial planning at every level. Annex Comprehensive Wealth, Annex Private Client, Annex Ignite. Details at annexwealth.com. History made by the Greek Freak. That plus the roads and your 5-day forecast next. Outdoor Living Unlimited, WTMJ News Time is 9:04.
We've all experienced that feeling of lacing up a brand new pair of shoes.
And for some reason, it always felt like new shoes made you run faster, jump higher, and of course, look better.
Yeah, it was almost magical.
A brand new set of tires on your car or truck will instantly give you that same magical feeling.
Courtney, I couldn't agree with you more. A new set of treads always makes your vehicle look better, but more importantly, allows you to stop faster and grip the road a whole lot better.
Which is necessary when the weather is bad and driving conditions are poor. You'll appreciate having the extra traction.
Remember, there isn't a tire brand on the planet we can't get.
Everything from Goodyear Continental and Kelly to Dunlop General and Pirelli. If we sell it, we install it.
Plus, every tire we sell automatically comes with free flat tire repair. So be safe, buckle up, and hey, always make sure you've got good tread on your tires. I'm Brett Matchke with Richlands. You're due for service.
Such a refreshing change. Richlands.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-230-2777. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term Provider has helped thousands of people like you who think they can't afford term life insurance. To buy $1 million of affordable term life for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-230-2777. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-230-2777. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too. Call 800-230-2777, 800-230-2777, or biglou.com.
Time now for a WTMJ Sports Update from the Gruber Law Office's One Call, That's All Sports Desk.
Here's a drive inside. Giannis goes, speaking of blow-bys, right past Powell to the cup. And with that bucket, Giannis cracks 20,000 points for his career, becoming the 52nd player in NBA history to reach that distinction.
Dave Kane with the call on WTMJ as Giannis reaches 20,000 points for his career. The Bucks roll over the Mavs 137-107. Bucks are now off the next couple days. They'll head home for a back-to-back this weekend against the Magic and then the top-seeded Cleveland Cavaliers. The Brewers continue spring training in prime time tonight against the A's. Coverage begins at 7:05 this evening right here on your home of the Brewers, WTMJ. And also tonight in the Horizon League men's basketball quarterfinals, UW-Milwaukee hosting Oakland at the Klotchke Center on campus. Let's check the roads. Your WTMJ Johnson & Sons paving time saver traffic. New crash up right now, 94 north of Howard Avenue. Got the right shoulder block there due to a crash. Already some squads on scene with that one. Also got a broken down vehicle that is blocking still the left lane 94 east at Hawley, and we've got backup stretching now from that point to about 84th Street this morning. Everywhere else is looking all right. No other major incidents or delays.
Traffic is sponsored by the famous Fox and Hounds restaurant near Holy Hill.
Buy one dinner, get one free tonight at the historic Fox and Hounds Supper Club, including steak and lobster. And desserts are buy one, get one free. Tables are open, foxandhoundsrestaurant.com.
The WTMJ 5-day forecast, mostly sunny, some gusty winds this morning. You'll feel them as you head out the door, a high of 39. Increasing clouds down to 28 tonight. Watching for some light snow possible north of I-94 for your Friday, a high of 37. Partly cloudy 43 Saturday. And we warm back up Sunday and Monday with mostly sunny skies and highs in the low to mid 50s. Right now in Madison, it is sunny and 27. Sun in Green Bay, 26 degrees. Waukesha, plenty of sun and 25. And in Milwaukee, sunny skies and 26 degrees. I'm Adam Roberts. Outdoor Living Unlimited WTMJ News Time is 9:08.
Good morning, Wisconsin. So let's pour that coffee and talk to some experts about what's going on in Milwaukee, Madison, Washington, and beyond. Broadcasting live from the Annex Wealth Management Studios at the Avenue in beautiful downtown Milwaukee. It's the Political Power Hour on WTMJ. Here's your host, Steve Scaffidi.
Should we talk about the government?
And good morning, everybody. Welcome to Thursday's show. I am ready to talk legal issues with my friend, the retired Milwaukee County Judge Mary Kuhn Mensch, who's joining me in studio this morning. Good morning,
Good
Mary.
morning. Good morning.
So there's a lot of things we're going to talk about this hour, including a really interesting one, sort of a case study in internet activity. Who's doing what, why they're doing it, sort of a, you could argue stereotypical, but maybe the stereotype is true when it comes to who's using some of these platforms. We're going to get to that. It's a really interesting conversation. We're going to start with this one, though. Divided U.S. Supreme Court earlier this week. I think it was it 5-4? Yes, 5-4 decision. The interesting part was Chief Justice John Roberts and Amy Coney Barrett joining the liberals in sort of leaving in place a ruling from a lower court, U.S. District Judge, who had ordered the administration, Donald Trump administration, to unfreeze these assets that were going into aid, $2 billion in aid.
$2 billion in aid to USAID.
Yeah, USAID. Interesting sort of coalition there because we have, obviously, the Chief Justice and Amy Coney Barrett, who's appointed by Donald Trump, which also sort of anecdotally, not anecdotally, but sort of an interesting aside, sort of triggered a weird reaction at the presidential address the other night where the president sort of ignored Amy Coney Barrett. What do you make of this?
I think this could be a sign of things to come. And I think pulling back the curtain on the court, what I have long believed, and anyone who's listened to me talk about the Supreme Court and the makeup of it, particularly the makeup of the conservative justices, I think it's starting to come to fruition, which is that not all conservatives, just like not all liberals, come in the same size and shape. They actually come in very different sizes and shapes, and you're going to see that unfold. And you saw it in this coalition with John Roberts and Coney Barrett, more of the, I would say, moderate conservatives on the court, more interested in getting consensus and doing nuance in their decision making. They sided with the three liberals on the court in upholding the lower court's ruling against Trump on the USAID issue, saying that you've got to unfreeze those $2 billion and get them going in the direction of USAID. So it's the decision itself shows that there's some pushback now by the Supreme Court. So that's interesting to look at and to watch as that continues to unfold. And then also the dynamics of how that decision making is happening. And I believe that the one justice that you need to really focus on, and I'm proud that it's a woman, is Justice Coney Barrett. She is not afraid to speak her onions. And she has in at least two decisions now, in either a concurrence or a dissent with Justice Thomas, really called him out on the carpet. And it made it very clear that she believes his analysis of history as it relates to interpreting the Constitution is simply not correct.
One of the things as a layperson, I look at the conduct, the actions, the words that the presidents in talking about the courts, or even in some of the opinions that are written by the court. Layperson's sort of version of this. Could it be that just like governors and their interaction with their state Supreme Courts, and the president certainly with the U.S. Supreme Court, justices, some of them, don't like when the president or governor, in the case of here, Wisconsin, act like they own the courts. And that is a pushback against that sort of that notion. What do you think?
Absolutely. And I think they will take whatever steps they have to reinforce the independence of the judiciary. Because in the integrity of the court is really what's at stake here. So when you have the president, whether it's President Trump or any president, shaking hands and on a hot mic thanking the Chief Justice for what he perceived to be rulings in his favor, and saying, I won't, I think the quote that I remember from what he said the other night was, I won't forget it. Meaning, I'll be rewarding you. You're in my good club now. You're in my good graces. And the fact of the matter is that justices can't be in the hip pocket of anyone. Whether there's a perception that we are by the party that wins, there's all this talk about, Steve, and there's, activist judges, and usually used against what the right believes are liberal justices going off and judges going off on, too far to the left on progressive issues. And liberal judges will say, look at the right. They are, in the hip pocket of the president. And how I interpret the phrase activist judge is a judge who ruled against you. It's a judge who didn't come down on your issue. And you can see that with how they believe Justice Coney Barrett is acting. And let me say this about her reaction that's gone viral all over the internet, and that is that she was, let's just say she doesn't have a very good poker face, or she was just, that's her expression, and people are reading something into it. My sense is that it was a sort of a combination of both. I think she was reacting to what he was saying, the president was saying to John Roberts. She was next to John Roberts, heard it, and it was palpable all over her face.
And maybe appalling.
And to her, short of rolling her eyes, she made it very clear that that was just something she could not abide by, and that's something she finds very distasteful by the president.
Yeah, and we got to go to break here. I'm going to ask you a question in a second just to think about during the break. But this is the confidence of a justice who's in her 50s, is smart enough to know the issues, and is willing, this is the big one for me, to step outside politics, which judges should do, and their own personal bias, and say, this doesn't seem right to me. And here's the question to think about during the break. Texter, thanks for asking this question. I was going to ask it too. And I asked Jim Santel this question last week. If these rulings go against Trump, this is one, there's other ones that impact what he's trying to do, what Elon Musk's trying to do. If they go against him, essentially saying, you can't do this, and this president, Donald J. Trump, wants to still do this, what are the recourses here? What could happen? Mary Kuhnmatch, retired Milwaukee County judge, my guest for the full hour. Text, welcome on the Siding Unlimited WTMJ Talking text line 855-616-1620. Lots more to get to. We'll do it after this on 620 WTMJ.
On Wisconsin's Morning News, we profile the average John or Jane Doe who had no idea when they got up one morning that they'd be saving a life, becoming everyday heroes.
Brian Lathrop, school bus driver, coming his way, a semi-truck in the other lane, and it's creeping over the center line.
Tried to get around him, see if I couldn't avoid him, and he ended up going right down the side of my bus. I don't feel that I'm a hero. I did just doing my job.
Everyday Hero, Thursdays at 6:40 on Wisconsin's Morning News, presented by Azura Memory Care and Assisted Living, transforming the culture of care.
Hey, this is WTMJ, Steve Scaffidi for Advent. I love talking about Advent. You know this because they changed my life. I just talked about this story, my story, with somebody the other day at a restaurant. They changed my life. They fixed my nose. Wasn't working properly. I couldn't breathe properly, couldn't sleep, tossing and turning, snoring, all those common problems that I've talked about for years. I went to Advent and I did something about it. That's the action there, right? Don't just complain, do something about it. I went to Advent, and I wasn't a spokesperson for Advent. I just was a client. They fixed my problem. Simple procedure, 30 minutes. We added in a really simple sleep study at home in my own bed. Short procedure, back to breathing better than ever. But the big one, the big kicker here is I sleep through the whole night, uninterrupted. No waking up, none of that stuff, no tossing and turning, no restless nights of sleep. That's why I wake up rested and refreshed. That can be your story as well. If you struggle like I used to, take the time to see how Advent can help you. To find out breathing well and sleeping well can make your nights better, go to adventknows.com. It works. Schedule an appointment today because Advent knows when you breathe well, you live better.
I can see the breath inside my house. This is how horror movies start.
First, the cold seeps in. Next thing you know, you're spooning your cat for warmth.
I tried it. He bit me.
Jason, come on, man. You need a new furnace. Don't you know that Capital is giving away the furnace when you get a new AC?
Giving as in free?
Yeah, but call Capital before this turns into the horror version of Frozen. Call Capital today and get a free furnace with a new AC.
Old-fashioned service, you can't go wrong. Call CapitalCares.com.
Tariffs. We're not going to talk about tariffs today, but it's a big subject of conversation. And the threat of their implementation, that's happening, folks, have become a central part of the United States trade and foreign policy. What are tariffs? How are they implemented? And what sectors of the economy could benefit if they're put in place? Join me and Annex Wealth Management's Dave Spano, the guy, and Chief Economist Brian Jacobson, who I think was on my show yesterday. March 11th, that's next week. I think it's Tuesday? Sounds right. At 1 p.m., I love these webinars. I love doing it. It's very informative, very relaxed. You can ask questions as we're doing it. You can join us, learn how your portfolio and your financial plan might be impacted by these tariffs. Visit the Annex Wealth Management webinar page on WTMJ.com. And I love working with Dave and all the folks at Annex. They are a great, great company, a great partner here at WTMJ. All right. Before the break, I asked my guest, my contributor, right when I say that, I see a text. I love you, Mary. Don't know if it's from someone that you know, but it's from the 414, and you can weigh in as well.
I love you too. I don't know who you are, but I love you too.
So the question I posed to you, the president has said he wants to do these things. He wants to cut these jobs. He wants to cut these administrations. He wants to cut these departments. In the case of USAID, he wanted to cut those funds, $2 billion or so. And the Supreme Court in a 5-4 decision said no, upholding the lower court's ruling. So what recourse does the president, who doesn't seem to take no for an answer, does he have recourse? Well, how can he challenge these things if the highest court says you cannot do this?
Well, he'd have to violate it. If the court comes down with a specific order, he is to abide by it like any, the only thing that judges have is our order authority. That's why we wear the robe. We have the authority to make orders that must be followed. And this is an order from the highest court in the land. There's no other recourse other than to follow it. Now, he's already suggested in some respects by appointing his personal lawyer in the immunity case. I forget the gentleman's name now. I think it's Lauer. He is now going to be the Inspector General. Mm-hmm. And he's when he was asked that very question, Steve, last week, he hedged his bets by saying that, there may be some hypothetical out there. I'm not in the business of hypotheticals. But there may be some hypothetical out there where a circumstance where he would not have to follow it. And I would advise him that he doesn't follow the order. I mean, that got the attention of not only the lower federal courts, but the Supreme Court. I had a conversation with one of my dear friends on the federal bench in the 7th District, and we talked about that very issue. That would be what people refer to as a constitutional crisis. But what would happen is the Supreme Court would have to enforce its order against him. And it would do that by having law enforcement. And then people say, well, what if he owns the people in the U.S. Marshal's office or the FBI?
What if that's the case?
Well, that would be very difficult because the court would issue an order that would have to go to the local law enforcement, usually the U.S. Marshals, and they would have to follow that court order. If they didn't, then I suspect a state officer, a police officer, or a district attorney's office would have to step in and try to prosecute that to make sure that they did. I think that there would be a very a reluctance on the part of law enforcement not to follow a court order, no matter if they were appointed by Trump or not. I think that that's where people would draw a line in the sand, and they're going to follow the court order or then be taken into custody and held in contempt until they actually effectuate the order. Now, what if the president still doesn't follow it, even if he's served with the order? Well, incarceration, contempt, all sorts of things. That's why you've got a certain amount in a democracy and in a rule of law country as we are and always have been. There's a certain amount of good faith that we expect that people in politics, in office, whether you're in the judiciary, the legislature, or the president's office, you are supposed to have good faith and honor court orders. That would be a constitutional crisis. I would like to think that we would not come to that, but if we did, it would involve the courts again and ordering that law enforcement take him into custody, issuing contempt orders until he abides by the court's order.
Where it gets really interesting, I think, is when some of these, let's use birthright citizenship, for example, that are written into the Constitution, and the president clearly has stated he doesn't like it, wants it removed. It's been challenged so far successfully. But at some point, that gets to the U.S. Supreme Court. I can't imagine, and maybe you have a different opinion, a majority of the U.S. Supreme Court saying, you know what, we're going to let the president change the Constitution willy-nilly by executive actions and orders. I cannot see that as a possibility, but yet here we are.
I think that the birthright case, you and I have talked about this in the past. I think that what he's saying is that that 14th Amendment doesn't really say what it says. And he's going to have that challenged on the language to the Supreme Court. And they're going to take that up. And if they do, it will be the first test about what the Constitution means and what it means not. And we have the first case that law students are taught is Marbury versus Madison. It's one of the oldest cases. And anybody who's been in law school knows the case that I'm referring to. And that is the case where Thomas Jefferson basically wanted to be the final say on what the Constitution means and what it means not. And the Supreme Court said, no, Mr. President, that's for the courts. The courts decide that, not you or the legislature. The courts will be the decider of what the Constitution means. And so you're going to have a replay of, in its own, in the 21st century, you're going to have a replay of Marbury versus Madison if, in fact, Trump wants to be the arbiter of what the Constitution means and what it means not. And therefore, if it doesn't mean what he thinks it means, then he doesn't have to follow those rules. He's going to get a significant pushback by the federal judiciary and by the Supreme Court. And if we come to a constitutional crisis and we don't have good faith and people acting in good faith, it could involve a really serious issue of, do we have law enforcement take the President of the United States into custody? I hope it doesn't come to that. I think there are enough lawyers around him that would argue and persuade him that that's not a good road to go down, Mr. President. I think the public opinion would sway, and I think he'll comply at the end of the day.
Yes, in the words of a texter, constitutional crisis. Mary Kuhnmensch, my guest. We're going to take a quick break here. Lots more to get to, including an internet study of sorts that Mary did over the last few weeks. And it's fascinating. It's a great topic. We're going to get to that in a bit right here on 620 WTMJ.
Whatever you want to call this season, we're over it. Time to look forward to...
Fly ball, right field. It is deep. It is gone!
Spring training is finally here and back on the radio.
It is way gone. Over the batter's eye and out of here for William Contreras.
Make sure to catch our next spring training broadcast as the Brewers take on the A's Thursday at 7:05. No matter the season, we are the home of the Brewers. WTMJ.
Hey, this is WTMJ, Steve Scaffidi for Milwaukee Weight Loss. I love talking about it because I've been on this journey for about 6.5 weeks right now. 33 pounds today lost in that time. It's a secret to losing up to 1 pound of fat every day. And their doctors have developed, and I've told people about this away from the show, easy to follow, helps you lose weight fast, naturally, no injections or drugs, no side effects, no prepackaged meals, bars, shakes. You do it. And if you don't want to exercise, you don't have to exercise either, although I would recommend some light walking. Their program helps reset your metabolism. You keep the weight off for good. I'm going to be in this for a year, just maintaining this weight that I've lost. And they have coaches who are fantastic for ongoing support. The program, get this, costs up to half as much and works up to twice as fast as most other programs. And it's worked for me. That is a success story. Go to MilwaukeeWeightLoss.com. Schedule your free consultation. Like I said, most patients lose 20 to 30 pounds in a month or two. It's crazy to see that, but it's a reality. Schedule your free consultation. I'll go slow. 262-449-1180 or online at MilwaukeeWeightLoss.com. MilwaukeeWeightLoss.com. Results may vary.
Hi, folks. This is Hank Albert, owner of BBC Lighting. At BBC, we sell all the top brands of lights and ceiling fans, such as Visual Comfort, Tech, Schoenbeck Crystal, and hundreds more. We get every brand, and our prices are the lowest. I guarantee it. In our award-winning showroom, you'll also find factory closeouts with lights and fans priced well below their original cost. If it's lampshades or repairs you need, we do all that too. There's something for everyone at BBC, including fun for the kids and our famous free popcorn. We're open Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, Saturday, 10 to 4, and located at 20th and St. Paul Avenue, across from Sobelman's, near the Potawatomi Casino. Stay safe and healthy, my friends.
Beer fans, travel lovers, and history buffs, this is your dream vacation. Join me, Sandy Max, on a 10-day journey through Germany, Austria, and the Czech Republic. We'll enjoy Munich's famous beer halls, sip our way through Salzburg's historic breweries, and discover Vienna's culture and craft beer scene. Then end the tour in Prague, where ancient history meets modern brews. From iconic castles to authentic flavors. Grab your passport and let's raise a glass to the ultimate beer adventure. Limited spots available. Book now. Email me, sandy@WTMJ.com to learn more.
We're going to set this up because I only got about a minute before the bottom of the hour news with Adam Robertson, the latest from ABC, Judge Mary Kuhnmensch in my studio today for the Political Power Hour. You decided, only got a minute, so you got to make it real quick, and we're going to get to we'll flesh it out after the break. Your sort of in-depth You did it yourself, looking at people who are on the internet, on some of these social media platforms, and what you learned about these people. I'm fascinated by this. Just give us a quick primer on what you learned.
I really wanted to get a better sense of why there's such a huge divide in this country, as you know, played out on the internet, and you know what is the phenomena of that? What's causing that? And you know, are there certain things at play here that we can sort of look at and perhaps have a good conversation about to change it? So I did my little research. It's not foolproof. It's not scientific, but I think it is interesting.
All right, you're going to tell us what that is, and we're going to get to the Wisconsin Supreme Court race and some of the money that's coming into this thing and what that feels like and what that represents in the case of how we elect our justice in the state of Wisconsin. Retired Milwaukee County judge, although she's still doing a lot of work. Mary Kuhnmensch. We have Adam Roberts coming up with the latest from local news, and then, of course, ABC. Don't forget, podcasts always available. Let's get to that latest update now from ABC News.
ABC News, I'm Sherry Preston. Results expected soon on a vote happening now on the House to censure Al Green, the Texas congressman who shook his cane at President Trump during Tuesday's congressional address, leading to this exchange.
Finding that members continue to engage in willful and concerted disruption of proper decorum, the chair now directs the Sergeant-at-Arms to restore order. Remove this gentleman from the chamber.
The Trump administration moving ahead with plans to eliminate the Department of Education. The president expected to issue an executive order soon, directing Education Secretary Linda McMahon to begin dismantling it. Tens of thousands more federal jobs will soon be gone, including 70,000 at the Department of Veterans Affairs and as many as half of all the people currently employed by the IRS. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau weighing in, saying he expects Canada and the U.S. to be in a trade war for the foreseeable future. This is ABC News.
Outdoor Living Unlimited, WTMJ News Time is 9:31. I'm Adam Roberts. 6 weeks in, Wisconsin voters nearly evenly split on how President Donald Trump is handling his second term. 48% of registered voters in the state approving of Trump's handling of the presidency thus far, while 51% disapprove, that according to the latest Marquette University law poll. Meanwhile, more than half of voters surveyed told pollsters new tariffs imposed by Trump on China, Canada, and Mexico will hurt the U.S. economy. A pair of high-profile court appearances today. Slenderman stabbing defendant Morgan Geyser's case is back in court as the State Department of Health Services petitions to stop her release. Meanwhile, a plea hearing today from one of four men connected to the death of a man outside a downtown Milwaukee hotel. Brandon Turner is back in court and was one of three suspects in the death of Devontae Mitchell to accept a plea deal earlier this year. A 250-megawatt solar energy center now up and running in Darien. The project by We Energies includes more than 600,000 solar panels, providing up to 75,000 homes with energy. It's the second large-scale project this year for We Energies, after the Paris Solar Energy Center opened in Kenosha County in December. And a new healthcare facility could be coming to Milwaukee's near west side. Advocate Health planning a nearly $50 million health and wellness hub near 27th and Wisconsin at the former Wisconsin Avenue School. Plans call for a 2026 groundbreaking. Time now for news about your money. The WTMJ Annex Wealth Management Market Update. The Dow is down 229 at 42,777. The Nasdaq off 174 points at 18,379, and the S&P 500 is down 48 points at 5,794. Financial planning at every level. Annex Comprehensive Wealth, Annex Private Client, Annex Ignite. Details at annexwealth.com. Let's check the roads. Your WTMJ Johnson & Sons Paving Time Saver traffic. Had an earlier broken down vehicle on 94 East at Hawley that was blocking the left lane. That has cleared up, and so you've got a nice easy drive from the zoo into downtown with light volume as well. Bit heavier volume right now on 94 North. We've got a right shoulder still blocked due to a crash on 94 North near Howard Avenue. The backups and volume picks up north of there. Elsewhere, just one broken down vehicle, 94 South near Rawson, right shoulder blocked there. Everywhere else is looking all right. No other major incidents or delays. And your WTMJ forecast, mostly sunny, some gusty winds this morning up to a high of 39. Increasing clouds tonight down to 28. Some light snow possible Friday south of I-94, a high of 37. Partly cloudy 43 Saturday, then sun Sunday and Monday with highs in the low to mid 50s. Right now in Janesville, it's sunny and 28, sun and 26 in New Berlin, and in downtown Milwaukee, sunny skies and 27 degrees. I'm Adam Roberts. Outdoor Living Unlimited WTMJ News Time is 9:34.
New treatments for joint pain are here. By now, you've heard about regenerative medicine. If you're wondering if you're a good candidate, answer these questions. First, does chronic pain in your knees, hips, shoulders, or other joints keep you from doing the things you enjoy? Golfing, jogging, time with the family. Does it hurt doing the things you need to do, like getting out of bed, sleeping, working, and walking? And finally, do you want to avoid surgery and all of the pain, long recovery, and uncertainty that comes with it? If you answered yes to any of those, you need to call QC Kinetics now. Learn about exciting advancements in regenerative treatments that can give you long-lasting pain relief with no drugs, no surgery, and no downtime. Get your free consultation today. Call QC Kinetics. That's QC Kinetics. Here's the phone number.
Call now, 414-285-3474. That's 414-285-3474. QC Kinetics, 414-285-3474.
Looking to escape the winter chill? Fox World Travel has you covered. Whether it's an all-inclusive vacation with Apple Vacations, a luxurious Princess Cruise, or a European adventure with Globus and Avalon, we create unforgettable experiences just for you. Enjoy last-minute deals, exclusive offers, and personalized itineraries. From booking to boarding, we handle all the details for a stress-free trip. Ready to get out of the cold? Call 866-GO-FOX-GO and mention code RADIO to start planning your getaway today.
Imagine all the things you dream of under one roof. You're thinking of eBay. Fashion, collectibles, car parts. It's all there. Go find the thing that keeps you up at night. eBay. Things people love.
Find furniture for life from Ken Michaels Furniture in Brookfield, Greenfield, or downtown Milwaukee.
Thanks for tuning in on this Thursday edition. Thanks for, by the way, to Tracy Johnson for filling in for me yesterday. Tracy always does a great job. Had great guests. Don't forget tomorrow's program, a Friday program, what I call the origin story, the Political Power Hour. Bill McCosh and Joseph Peck. We have a lot to talk about, including the president's presentation the other night from Congress. And, boy, lots on our plate. So the guys are fired up and ready to talk. We all know what internet trolls are. I like to say that they are a nuisance. They are sort of intelligence deprived. Many are basement dwellers. Most are men. They're immature. They have the maturity level of about a fifth grader. Maybe that's being too kind. They usually hate women for some reason and hate people and want to be angry all the time. And my opinion, Mary, because you've actually sort of started digging into this stuff way more than I'm even willing to do. My experience is they love to be anonymous. They love to say crazy things. They love to constantly fuel the fire of anger and aggression. I've just stopped following these people. In many cases, I block them because I'm not interested in that stuff and basically stop responding to them. But you actually have started to look at like the profile here. You've dug into some of this stuff.
I did, Stephen, because it was actually a middle-aged white male friend of mine, more of an acquaintance than a friend, that I have known in social circumstances where he had posted something about a couple of weeks ago about I think why he voted for Trump and why it was just vitriolic in the way and emotional. You could see the emotion coming out of his comments about his distaste for Kamala Harris, for liberals, Democrats, progressives. I mean, it's spoken with such venom and pure hatred, as if they were the evil, the axis of evil. And I otherwise thought of this gentleman as a sort of a rational human being. And so I made a comment in response, and the response I got back was very telling. It was, "I'm not in your courtroom. Don't lecture me." So, I thought, I can respond to that, or I can, let it go, block him. Just, I'm never going to reach. I'm never going to change. Not on an internet setting, not like this. You're not going to change people's minds, so let it go. But it got me thinking about what's going on here. Why is there such anger and aggression? What is causing, middle-aged white men, generally between the ages of 45 and 75, what's causing them to have, to use the internet as a way to spout off and get a lot of things off their chest, use it as a tool to spout their anger and mistrust at the rest of us, really. And I said, how unhealthy is this? And I also started listening to not only MSNBC, but NPR, Fox News, Nation News. I wanted to see the kinds of stories that they were using, and some of the callers calling in. What do they sound like? What are they angry about? Let's get a handle on this. And what I found is that what you get is this. It's in my mind is an echo. You're comfortable living in an echo chamber that just regurgitates everything that you already believe. And anything that would challenge that or cause you to do some critical thinking or think outside the box, you're not even interested in going there. That's how it comes off to the rest of us. And so you have it comes down to shouting matches where curse words are being used and then people are getting kicked off of different internet sites, where you've got internet sites that used to be, what's the one that's called X? It used to be what? Twitter. And now you're using these platforms to espouse everything from Bitcoin to pornography to God knows what else. Really unhealthy things when you think about it culturally. And you're doing this from your basement, your living room, your dining room, alone, in isolation. And so I listened to an interesting conversation, Steve, about, because I am a believer in science, and I've had to deal with mentally ill people in my career that come into court, and what do we need to do to address the underlying problem? Why did they commit this crime? Things of that kind. And so I've always been interested in that dynamic. And what I think is happening is you've got people living in that sort of age group and that in our culture, they are living in isolation. They're isolated from other human beings, even human beings that would they'd rub elbows with at a restaurant that they'd may disagree with, but at least could have in the old days a decent conversation with and agree to disagree. That's all gone now. And so you see with trolling, in terms of stereotypes, they don't apply across the board. But I think it's valid to say that there's enough truth here that there's a segment of our population that is very mistrusting, very afraid, does not understand trans, doesn't understand sexual orientation issues, don't want to understand it. It defies everything they've ever, they want simple black and white answers to sometimes very complicated things. They love sound bites. They love their guns. They love their pornography. They love people that agree with them. And anyone who doesn't is a part of the evil axis or liberal Democrats. And that phenomenon, when you're getting refed that in your echo chamber, is really not healthy for you. It's not mentally healthy. It's not physically healthy for you. And we've got to find a way to draw people out of that isolation, which was, I think, exacerbated by the pandemic, no doubt, and get them to at least be open to a conversation. Right now, they're not even open to a conversation where people have the give and take. And that's going to be, I think, a significant problem for a large part of our population going forward. And we need to get a handle on it and talk about it.
Real quick Facebook example before we go to break here. So I see occasionally friends of mine, and I use friends in quotes because sometimes just people I've sort of met on Facebook. I don't do a lot of interaction, but I see comments like this, posts like this. Well, I just got back from Facebook jail. And more often than not, by the way, right on Judge Mary on the text line, that's a brilliant analysis. I agree. More often than not, it's because those people have decided to post or share things that are racist, hate-filled, have obscenities, have just outright lies as part of their thing, and they're surprised by the fact that, at least at the time, Facebook said you can't do that. That's sort of what I see, but I always say to these people, if I run into them, if I actually am friends with them, why are you surprised? There are some standards of decency, and when you call, for example, the former vice president, whether you love her politics or not, you call her a whore on Facebook, I think that sort of goes too far. And that shouldn't be surprising. That tells
me also that there's a limitation to people's ability to use language. You revert to name calling. That's what kids do, right? I mean, it's because you don't have the sophistication of a better vocabulary or a better way of saying, I just It's another way of just saying I don't like that person and they're evil, they're wrong, so they're a whore. I mean, they jump from I disagree with their position, and so ergo they are evil, they are wrong, they disagree with me, and so I don't know how to break that cycle because the internet has given them a platform. We've always had, Steve. I'm not going to say a third, but roughly 25 to 35% of this country is made up of white nationalists, racist, undereducated, underemployed people of all races and sects and religions, and some agnostic. And they never had a voice before. That's not to say that everybody who voted for Trump, because I have friends who voted for him, is that way. But we do have a segment of our country that we've always had. They never voted before. They never felt they had a patriarch. They never felt they had a voice, and they have one, good, bad, or indifferent, and I don't think the right can disagree with me. They've got a voice and a patriarch in Trump, and that's scary because it's unhealthy.
Got to leave it there. A great case study on what a lot of us have realized for quite a while, that there's some insanity out there, and I would just caution people to think about what you post or share before you hit send. All right, quick break here. 2 more segments, quick segments. We're going to talk about SROs, that decision in Milwaukee, what's happening there, and, of course, a little bit on the state Supreme Court race. Judge Crawford, Judge Schimmel. That's the last 2 segments of the Political Power Hour, Thursday edition, right here on 620 WTMJ.
In 1964, we were making strides towards space travel.
Mary Poppins was the #1 movie in theaters.
And the Beatles were taking America by storm.
Which was long before I was born.
Facts. 1964 is also the year it all started for Richland's Tire and Service Centers. 60 years of continuous growth and more happy customers than you can shake a stick at.
Okay, the streamers are a bit overkill. It's just us in the studio.
All right. But it's important to know accomplishments like these aren't possible without a dedicated team. So hats off to them and our founder, my dad, Dick Mitchke, for understanding the importance of customer focus.
Facts. There's no 60 years of anything without you, the customer, which is why our focus will remain on you and only you for years to come.
Thank you from all of us here at Richland's Tire and Service Centers.
Richland's Tire and Service, such a refreshing change. Richland's.
Hey, there's free pizza today at the amazing Mind Chef restaurant in Hartford. WTMJ's John Mercure here. I love the free pizza days. Seriously, it's free. Coaches, managers, business owners, listen up. Check this out. Every Thursday, when you buy 1 pizza, you get a second pizza free. Buy 2, get 2 free. Buy 10, get 10 free. You get it. Bring in your basketball, wrestling, hockey, gymnastics, volleyball team, or your club organization for free pizza after your practice or game. Your players are going to love that huge game room. It's super affordable team bonding. Bring in pizza today for your loyal employees. Half those pizzas are free. The Mine Shaft in beautiful downtown Hartford and Oshkosh near the EAA. It's right off the interstate. Tons of seating, tons of close parking. Buy 1 pizza today, get 1 free. That's tons of value. Plenty to take home for tomorrow. Order now and pick it up shortly or dine in. A reminder, the Friday all-you-can-eat fish fry is just $7.99. Whoa, that's great value. Walk in today for your free Thursday pizza. MindShaftRestaurant.com.
Spas. The Swim Spa Hot Tub and Sauna Show is coming this weekend inside the arena at the Waukesha County Fairgrounds. Rows and rows of spas, hot tubs, cold tubs, and swim spas. The largest display in the state. Save up to 60% on all in-stock models. This weekend only inside the arena at the Waukesha County Fairgrounds.
You're right, and I'll agree. It does sound too good to be true. But offering you affordable treatment that alleviates pain, which really does work, that we've seen in most cases insurance paid for in full, is a definite reality. It's pain relief, really. And these are FDA-approved treatments. They're safe and proven to reduce inflammation and alleviate pain. Yeah, you'll have to get a couple of shots, and I know that can scare people. But the needle is extremely small. And after giving shots like this hundreds of thousands of times, you'll see we make it very easy. You're going to feel the relief that our powerful pain relief agents give you. They're pain relief drugs that solve pain problems. And the way I feel is that Rejuvenex should be the first stop for anyone living with pain in shoulders, hips, elbows, and knees. At $65 per joint, per injection, it's probably the most affordable pain relief option available that actually works.
Alleviate your pain, rejuvenate your life.
Rejuvenex Google reviews will tell you more.
Lots of commentary as you'd expect on the conversation we just had about internet trolling and all that stuff. I gotta a solo show next week. I think it's Wednesday. I have to check that. But I'm going to talk about that subject because I think it's so rich for conversation, and we'll welcome your comments as well. Real quick, we just have like a minute here, but the SR decision in Milwaukee County Judge David Borowski, what do you think of that decision? What he has said? What the
I think he's right. I
is?
think Judge Borowski is never one to suffer fools, and he doesn't mince words. And in this case, I happen to agree with him. I think that contempt was the right path, the right decision, and scolding them very forcefully in court was the right thing to do too. They've had since 2023. When this was a part of the budget, to get 25 officers trained and back into the schools. And the reason for it is safety, public safety. It shouldn't take a citizen in our community that has kids in the MPS school district who's afraid for their safety on a daily basis with 17 calls a day coming into various schools. They need to have a law enforcement presence in some of those schools. And Dave was pointing out to them, Judge Borowski, that you've got an obligation as politicians and as the police chief to do this. Follow the law. I'm going to give you a certain amount of time to do it, and if you don't, it's going to cost your pocketbook $1,000 a day.Ey've now said we're going to have them in, we're going to get them trained, and we hope to start by March 10th. And so when we're back in court on March 15th, you won't have to impose the $1,000. But this is an exercise in civics. Follow court orders, do what you're supposed to do, and it won't come down to a citizen having to say, you need to enforce the law here, Judge, because it's for the safety of my children who are in the MPS schools.
Yeah, not just Milwaukee, but in the country. Follow the rules and the laws. All right. You know how we end every Thursday's edition? Closing arguments after this on 620 WTMJ.
Get inside the mind of Mark Tauscher.
I remember I never spoke in front of a podium until the NFC Championship game.
See the world from his perspective.
With all due respect, why were you asked to go to the podium?
To be podium guy.
On Wisconsin's Morning News, every day at 7:50.
What do you mean with all due respect?
I didn't want it to come off like I was being rude. I'm just curious.
Well, I'm going to be honest with you. It comes off incredibly rude. Hey, Tausch, you suck. What are you doing up at the podium? Well, thanks, Bill.
Presented by Hello Windows and Doors of Wisconsin and Kohler Services.
Hi, this is Michelle Voskel, CPA and team member at Right Choice Tax Resolution. The IRS has you in their crosshairs. We are local and know how to deal with the IRS and state to solve your situation. Just the other week, we successfully removed the target on Nick to get $194,358 of taxes and penalties removed. This is why John Neal started Right Choice Tax Resolution, to help people fight the IRS and state. You don't know the ins and outs of all the taxes they can charge you or the more than 150 penalties they can impose on you. Make the right choice and call us at 844-222-1192. We want to help so your bank account doesn't get wiped out, your paycheck or Social Security garnished, or a lien put on your house. Get rid of that stress and get back to enjoying life. Call us at 844-222-1192 or visit rightchoicetax.us right now to book a meeting. We understand how stressful this can be. The situation won't go away if you do nothing. That's 844-222-1192 or rightchoicetax.us.
Acumen Mortgage is an equal housing lender. NMLSConsumerAccess.org, number 255368.
Don't settle for a flimsy bank pre-approval. Get the pre-approval listing agents and sellers recognized as better than the rest. The rock-solid guaranteed pre-approval from Accunet. Get yours by clicking on the blue button at accunet.com.
Hey, John Mercure here for Guthrie and Fry Water Conditioning. My reverse osmosis system in my house is fantastic. The water I drink, the water we feed the dogs, the water we cook with is crisp, clean, and clear thanks to Guthrie and Fry's RO system. It's technology that's been around for a long time, but it's the best in the business, and Guthrie and Fry will get it to you. It's affordable, it's effective, and you'll feel a lot better. It's all about the science. Southeast Wisconsin's #1 choice, and my choice is Guthrie and Fry Water Conditioning.
This change has leveled us up while being able to maintain the same quality of service that we've always provided, with no upfront fees and 1.9% real estate commission. We're proud to be part of the Century 21 family, so you can move fearlessly with the added confidence of top-of-the-line marketing for maximum home exposure. And that means more eyeballs and the real potential for the highest price for your home. This is Angela Calais with Century 21 Benefit Realty, benefit-realty.com, where you pay less for full service. Each office is independently owned and operated. First off, our 1.9% commission structure helps get their foot in the door, and that's why agents like working here. But what they really like is having the strongest marketing tools available, with the resources to help them sell homes at the highest prices to satisfy their clients. Century 21 Benefit Realty offers what agents like most, and that's to help them be successful. If you really want to believe in the business model that you're representing, give me a call. I'm Angela Calais with Century 21 Benefit Realty. Call me, and let's talk about your future. Each office is independently owned and operated.
WTMJ, W277CV, and WKTI HD2 Milwaukee from the Annex Wealth Management Studios. This is News Radio WTMJ, a Good Karma brand station. Now it's time for your closing arguments.
Oh, today, giving those closing arguments, retired Milwaukee County Judge Mary Kuhnmensch. The floor is yours.
The haves and the have-nots. I've been doing a lot of thinking about that issue. I don't know why I'm getting so philosophical in my old age here, but I will tell you that two things have prompted me to think about the haves and the have-nots and what it means for our country, and that is the Supreme Court race. While I have my own opinions about the candidates, those are my opinions. I'm not going to share them here, but the amount of money that is being spent and is anticipated to be spent. They've each raised, I think, about $7.5 million. So that's $15 million just in one quarter alone. So everybody's projecting that it's going to be, in excess of any amount of money that we've ever seen spent on a race. And you've got the money coming in from Soros on the Democratic side and from Musk on the richest man in the world on the right. So it's the amount of money, in my opinion, is obscene. And it is breaking down our democracy in a way that was I don't think anybody anticipated. The other thing is I just came back, and believe me, I've worked hard on my life like you have, Steve. I love living a good quality of life and providing that for my family, along with my husband. And I like to travel and do lots of things that do require money. But I started thinking about how much is too much. And I was down in a very wealthy area of Florida for a week a couple of weeks ago, and I was watching from the boat we were on, looking at the coastline, which was comprised of $250 to $300 million homes, easily. And then the guy who was doing the tour was telling us who lives where and what, how much money this house was, and that these folks fly in for a weekend probably once every couple of months. So they use this $250 million home, which is just one of their homes, maybe once or twice a year. And I started thinking about the poverty we still have in our cities, the poverty we have in Appalachia. And I thought about, the term kept coming back to me, obscene. And we're becoming a country of no middle class anymore, no upper middle class, but the very poor and the obscenely wealthy. And how philanthropy is supposed to play into that, and how we're supposed to, give to those who, at least if in my faith, to help those that are the least among us, the poor, the disenfranchised. And I thought there's got to be a better use of that money from the rich, and a better use of money for people pouring it into campaigns. That just seems it just seems obscene. And I don't know what to do about it other than to raise the consciousness of people as to how much is too much and what we really should be doing with our money to make it a more equal playing field in this country. Otherwise, we're going to have a caste system like they had in Cuba and South American countries, where you have the haves and the have-nots, and that is the fall of a democracy.
Excellent closing argument. I agree completely. It is insane and absurd. Great segue to my quick tease for our podcast. The You Need to Listen podcast, I should say You Need to Listen, but there's no the in there. You Need to Listen podcast, Chris Bry, yours truly, got published today. You can find it at WTMJ.com or wherever you get your podcasts. Subject is the super rich. Are they bad? Good? We get to it. Kristen Bry.
I love your podcast, Steve. Keep it going.
Keep listening. All right. News is next.
Artwork, especially original artwork, can be pricey. But when you take it in on consignment from nice people like you who are just ready to